Thank you for having me, and I apologize. I left about 6:45 from Tampa, and everything looked fine till I hit about Kissimmee, and they said the arrival time was 10 a.m. And so uh, I called Eric, and I'm doing this virtually, and I'm sitting in a McDonald's. That's also Eric's suggestion, which it looks like the Wi-Fi is working pretty good at the McDonald's here. So, and I was supposed to actually meet with Paul after this. So, Paul, thank you for coming in person. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to meet later today or very soon. Thank you all for having me. This, I think, is my uh, second or third time presenting in Orlando. I presented when I think it was in Rawlings College, and I don't know if it's the same 1 million cups or not. But great to be with you all again. So I started on this journey in 2018. I quit my job just before COVID, and the idea was really simple. In and I'm going to share my screen in a second, but uh, the whole idea behind this was when I was starting my first business in Tampa, it was so hard to find the resources around me, and this was in 2008. So I said there had to be a better way for entrepreneurs to be able to find each other and get help from people that provide services. For example, as soon as I uh, closed that business in 2013, just from not being able to get traction, I found all of these free resources. I found out about SBDCs. I had no idea there was an organization called SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center, funded by the US government to help small businesses. Uh, and I didn't know about Score, and I didn't know about there was Tampa Bay Wave, and all of these resources in Tampa. I didn't know about. I didn't know about FLVEC. I didn't know about any of these things that existed. Uh, and so in 2018, I said, I'm going to try and solve this problem. And technology, people were adopting technology, but not at the rate in which, COVID has made us adopt technology. So I built this platform, really basic app, just to connect people. And the story I'm going to share with you is fast forward 3 years from then, where we are today. So it's almost like an update on where we are. For those of you who don't know us, through the Q&A, you'll kind of, I'll fill in the gaps. But I wanted to kind of make sure that I first present the story of where we are today, and then we'll go back and kind of talk about where we started, if that's of any interest to you. Eric, do you mind? It still says that it's not letting me share, seeing if I'm a co-host.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. Perfect. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we were originally known as Startup Space. When I first started, as we tell all our entrepreneurs, don't pay for a logo, don't pay to go get a patent. First, find if there's a customer. So I went online, found a name that had a website, and went and paid for a logo generator. So paid like $9.99 to get the EPS files. But then 3 years later, we had about 60 customers, and we had to rebrand. So today we're known as Economic Impact Catalyst as our new brand. But if you known us before, you would know us as Startup Space. So our mission, we work primarily to help create equitable access to entrepreneurship. And that is from that pain point I had. How do you make access to entrepreneurship easy, but also equitable, so that everyone that wants to start a business has the ability to start a business? Because we believe that ultimately entrepreneurship is the best path to wealth creation. It creates generational wealth. It improves standard of living. It empowers us to make decisions. And so we want to break down as many barriers to entrepreneurship through our platform. And we do that using technology. And what we do today, and before I tell you what we do today, I'm going to kind of tell you a story about how we got our first customer. As a small business, you've got all these milestones. You got to get an MVP. You got to get your first paying customer. You got to get product market fit, right? You got to get all of these milestones. So I was presenting at a 1 million cups in Denver on October 17th, 2018. And I was just telling them this idea I'd come up with. I created a mobile app. It was to connect entrepreneurs to resources. And somebody in the audience at 1 Million Cups in Denver said, hey, there is a co-working space down the road. They've got an economic development organization they're talking about doing something like this. You should go talk to them. So I didn't know anybody in Denver. I just flown in the night before. So I walked over to this co-working space. The lady at the front desk said, hey, I'll take you to the second floor where the economic development folks are. And this is pre-pandemic, 2018. So when I show up there, they're like, oh, we're the government. We don't do mobile apps if that's what you've got. So I'm like, fine, hey, I just gave it a shot. As I'm walking down, the lady at the front desk says, hey, what do you do? So I tell her, I've got an app that helps entrepreneurs find resources in their community. She says, oh, I've been looking for you for all these years. How much does this cost? I wasn't expecting somebody to ask me how much does this cost, because I was building this as a social platform for entrepreneurs to connect each other for free. What she was asking me was, what would it cost for her to have this in her community? So as any entrepreneur, I simply said $100 a month. And she said, okay, deal. I'll give you 1 year's worth of money. So she gave me $1,200. And I got my first contract. And so then I spent the next 3 months finding out why she said yes and what was she looking for, and then rapidly built those features onto the platform, and then started asking her, who are you people? Who are you who wants the solution? And found out about entrepreneurship centers needing the ability to connect with their entrepreneurs and with people in the community. So that was the first client. What it also taught me was that 1,200 was not the right price point, right? Because if somebody says yes without any objection, that means you've kind of gone too low. So the next 1 Million Cups was in Minnesota, excuse me, in March. And I did the same presentation and they said the same thing. Where have you been all these years? They asked how much. And I said 5,000, right? Because I knew that 1,200 was not the right price. They said, deal, we'll give you a 3-year contract. So I said, okay, 5,000 is also not the right price point. I then went to a conference in Pittsburgh, and there the same solution. By now, this was May. So between October and May, I kind of built all of the features they'd asked for. And so when they asked me how much for this platform, I said 25,000. And they said, oh my God, it's a bargain. We'll take it. What I didn't know was that a lot of these cities were paying for these customized solutions. So the third city was Detroit. Detroit had paid like $500,000 to build a customized homegrown platform that wasn't working. So for them to give a shot at the second platform for just 25,000 was a bargain. They're like, even if it doesn't work, we've already sunk 500,000 to give 25,000 to see if there's a solution. And today we have a 5-year deal with Detroit. They have extended our contract. They've kind of doubled down, and now we actually have a contract with the state of Michigan through our work in Detroit. So what is it that we actually do? These are the 4 areas. You've got community, economic impact strategy, and program tools. This is what we found economic development agencies, nonprofits are looking for. They're looking for a sense of community. They're trying to drive economic impact. They are looking for strategy on how to do this, and they need tools to do their work. And ultimately, this still serves the mission of, can you make it simpler for entrepreneurs to be able to find resources? And so today we are in over 100 communities across the US where we make it simple for entrepreneurs to be able to find resources in their communities. And we do that through 2 solutions that we have. The first is the Startup Space platform. It's a mobile app, Startup Space. You can find it in the App Store, the Google Play Store. If we are working with your community, that platform is available in your community, which, by the way, one of my motivations for presenting in Orlando is, I want to come back and tell the story, which has been a couple of years, but also Orlando is one of those markets where we're still building a community and we still don't have access to that economic development agency. The other one is market research, helping our clients understand the gaps in their support for small businesses. So we actually do large-scale studies that help them understand what a small business is looking for specifically. Is it capital? Is it technical assistance? Is it access to a web developer? Is it access to getting their e-commerce website up? Understanding the needs by market and then helping them stand up those support agencies to be able to support those small businesses. Some of our clients across the country, some of these logos you might recognize. So Pasco EDC, you might recognize that, USF, Nova Southeastern University. In Florida, we've got a few other Florida partners, St. Pete Chamber of Commerce. But we are, like I said, in over 100 communities, and a lot of these are kind of who's who of economic development and small business support. So in Atlanta, we work with Invest Atlanta. We work with several state agencies as well, like Michigan Economic Development Corporation. We work in California. We work in about 28 different states around the country today. In Virginia, Oklahoma, I'm just looking at this, Minneapolis, Minnesota, etc. A little bit about our team. We are, even though we're a technology SaaS company, we are 100% bootstrapped. So we have never accepted outside funding, and we've really just, built our business the way we teach our entrepreneurs to build it, which is, if you're trying to sell, it's better to sell to a client than sell to an investor, right? Because the money you sell to a client, you get to keep. The money you get from an investor, you got to give back someday. And so we've grown organically. We have about 17 staff full-time, plus we have about 10 contractors. We also have overseas employees in India and the Philippines. And our employees are across the country. So we have employees in 8 different states today. What's our big, audacious, hairy goal? That's what BOG stands for, big, hairy, audacious goal, is to be the #1 solution for entrepreneurship-led economic development in the US by 2025. And we measure that success by looking at the number of cities that use our solutions to help build their entrepreneurship ecosystems. And how can you help? So I've kept this to like a 7-minute presentation, like all of the 1 million cups we present at. Hopefully that gives us time for Q&A and be able to kind of dive into what is it that we do, our revenue model, anything that would pique your interest. But you can help us by kind of connecting us with economic developers in your community. Every one of our early clients came from 1 million cups community members, because we look at 1 million cups as our allies, right? People that want to start. In fact, I'm one of the biggest fans of 1 million cups, to the point where I've presented, I think, in like 64 different 1 million cups around the country, because people that want to start and people that want to help start show up to 1 million cups. And so thank you for having me today. I wish I could have done this in person. Hopefully next time I'll probably leave at 5 a.m. to make sure that I get from Tampa to Orlando. But we're happy to take questions.
David, could you turn off the presentation so we can see everybody? And Danny, first question.
A lot of the organizations that you're dealing with have major associations involved with them, like the economic developer universities. And you've been going to them, and that's where you need to make presentations. You get in front of a whole group of them at a time, you're going to have tremendous sales.
Thank you. Yeah, we do these almost every week. I'm every week in a different city. Next week I'm in St. Louis, then I'm in San Diego, and then Jackson, Mississippi. So yes, and where we meet with groups of economic developers to do these presentations.
I'm talking about major groups where you can have like a lot of different cities involved in one place, or a lot of different communities. You've done that yet?
We do those mainly through conferences. So in every conference, so the annual SBDC conference, we're presenting at in 2 weeks, the annual Economic Development Council conference. So we present in every one of these conferences. And there you'll get like 50 to 100 economic developers who are coming to learn. And so, yes, those are like our best avenues for client acquisition at this point.
Josh.
Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for sharing the pricing story. There's a big lesson there as far as pricing on cost versus value. But my question is more about your competition. And what are you competing on? Is there something unique that you're doing? Is there a uniqueness in the technology and your approach? Or can this just be duplicated by somebody? How are you defending this? Is this a branding play? Like what's your angle there?
It's a crazy, insane execution play. Because this is such a new industry, we feel like we've created a category. There isn't another technology that's doing it today. We have a lot of kind of copycats, but the challenge is that this execution is really, really hard. And so we say, if you can execute like us, you can have our clients, because it's pretty hard and economic developers are pretty fickle, right? And these are annual contracts. We have less than 10% attrition rate because we are like crazy good on execution. I mean, even clients that leave us will say, we're so sorry, it's not you, it's us. We know it's us, right? They're leaving us, but because of the kinds of relationships we build and the experience we give them. So beyond everything else, we don't patent our technology. We've got copyrights for our branding, etc. But the number one way in which we've kept all of our clients, now we are in our fourth year, right? We have 3-year technology contracts. This is our fourth year. Less than 10% attrition rate is because of crazy, crazy good execution. As in, if you become a client of ours, it's going to be pretty hard for you to cancel a contract on us, because we'll do almost anything, including in a lot of cases, things that might not have anything to do with technology, to help you be successful. So that's hard, and that's kind of difficult to scale. So, we basically have like 2 models. We have a software model, a SaaS model, where yes, you've got very low barrier to entry, but you also got low barrier to exit. And that marketplace is very hard to keep together. But then we have an enterprise model.
McDonald's went out. Action.
They burnt the prize.
All right, we lost the last half of that answer for the last 10 seconds.
Okay, so the last 10 seconds, we're just kind of wrapping that up. So Josh, I don't know if that made sense to you. Really, there's nothing proprietary about the technology itself. It's really about kind of the methodology and the thought leadership into building this as a very niche category, and then executing like crazy to keep this category.
Thanks.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you found the things called the SBDCs. The SBDCs are part of the SBA that are different. They operate and they have different principles than things like SCORE. When I had a company in Celebration selling software to small businesses, we went through the SBDCs. They promoted it to their small businesses in their realm. They took a little piece of the action, and we're helping them. If you go to the SBDC state organizations, not the local ones, the state organizations are either at the state university or the state house government. You can create a separate deal to be able to promote you throughout the state by going to one place.
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
That's a great point. Thank you for that. And yes, so we do work with statewide SBDCs. For example, when I'm in Jackson, we actually have a contract with the state of Mississippi through their SBDC network. And those are awesome. So we've got about 2 or 3 state networks, and we go directly to the state directors. So great point there.
Yeah, there's more than 50 of them, because there's one in a territory. We sold a piece to Guam, and I think we did one to the Virgin Islands. So there's 62 places. Makes it easy.
Yeah.
All right, Rupert, and then Chris online, and then Michael.
So I definitely appreciate what you're doing, and to a great extent, it is necessary. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around exactly what you do. Okay, so you say you offer a solution to these organizations that are involved in economic development, and you mentioned that you are a solution, right? So a better way for entrepreneurs to get info, right? But then there's, like here in Orlando, for example, just our sponsors alone. We have Orlando Entrepreneurs, you have Florida Virtual Entrepreneur Center. We've got the Orlando Economic Partnership, the High Tech Quarter. All these organizations provide information for entrepreneurs, like lists of and this is, these are just like lists and things like that. And then they also offer educational materials and so forth. So are you basically creating a platform, like a template platform for these EDCs to create something? And it's more of a tool as a solution because solutions are rather vague term. Okay, so that's my first question. I hope you understand that. The second one is, how do you overcome the entrepreneur's tendency for lack of self-education? Because we have all these tools out there. 1 Million Cups has been around for nearly 10 years, and it's like people still don't know about the things that are out there. So how do you get over that as well?
Yeah, perfect. Rupert, I think you're the only one who's been in all three of my presentations. Right? I think the two that were in Rollins College and then here. So great to see you again. Thanks for being such a champion for your community. So the solution, the reason we use the word solution is because we provide 3 or 4 different tools. So we call it a solution, right? One tool is when economic development is trying to provide programming. I'll just pick the city of Atlanta. They're really big, so it's easy to get context in. They do all of the technical assistance delivery for ARPA, which is $8 million through our platform. So all of the technical assistance providers, Urban League, Atlanta Black Chambers, Prospera, every big name uses our platform for delivering technical assistance of any kind, loans, grants, web development, legal advice, accounting, any technical assistance programs. If you want to get paid for ARPA programming, you have to use our platform. So we provide massive citywide. So like you said, there are 4 or 5 organizations, right? Where do entrepreneurs go? If let's say Orlando wants to deliver ARPA, every county, right? Orange County, every county in the US got through the state and what's it called? State and Local Fiscal Recovery Act. Every one of them got funding for technical assistance. Where do entrepreneurs go? For us, if you search for technical assistance in the city of Atlanta, that's the #1 result. And every one of those providers send them to that platform because that's the only platform which the entrepreneurs can get free assistance through ARPA. We do that not just for ARPA, we do it for COVID, we do it for CRA funds, so JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo. So we do it for like pretty large providers as well. And so that's the solution. The solution is basically providing tools that make it easy to access resources. Could be technical assistance, it could be mentorship, it could be capital, whatever you're looking for. If we partner with your city, county, or region, we become the provider for you. So they use our technology solutions, our websites, our landing pages, our backend CRM systems to track. They get paid only if it is in our CRM, and that gets reported back to the federal government. So we're basically creating access, and we do it. And the reason why you would go with us versus a local solution is because we do it at scale nationally. We can help with like underrepresented communities. We actually know how many Blacks are getting PPP, and we were able to highlight the lack of PPP coverage for Blacks in many of these markets, even before the SBA came up with these numbers. So when we deliver, we're bringing technology to create more equity and access for veterans, for returning citizens, for all of these other community members that usually get left out in solutions. Hopefully that helps.
Right. So discovery is left up to your clients to generate for the entrepreneurs to find out about.
We also have a part of our solution is we can help you with discovery. Let's say a client is struggling, for example, in Michigan, they came to us because the last survey they did, they only got about 500 respondents. They needed about 1,000, so they came to us because they were going for SSBCI 2.0. We delivered over 1,000 small businesses to them in a matter of 3 months. So yes, if you want discovery, we have a solution for that as well. We go to each market and say, what are your challenges today in helping small businesses? And we create a customized solution in every market using our proprietary platform as the backbone. So we've already got the technology on there. We'll add a systems, people, process technology to it, and then we'll deliver a custom solution to you. Usually it's a 3-year deal.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris Harden.
David, thank you so much. It's fun to see your success and honestly your hustle. You know, you've got hustle, I think, which is right in line with what you said. One of the most challenging part of your business is to solve the problem faster than anyone else can and go big really quickly. And I respect anyone who's willing to be on a plane every week to pull it off. So I went to your website. It looks great. It looks like you have a lot of solutions available. And also I downloaded your app because I wanted to see, as an entrepreneur looking for advice, and I'm also a mentor, I wanted to see what the entry point looked like for me. It feels like it's sort of a listing of different businesses who want to be available through the platform. It's pretty good. I also see that you have like calendar in here, and I can kind of browse. Is my entry point as an entrepreneur your mobile app? Is that the key way you see me coming in? And for me, I would look for like, okay, I looked in my area to try to see if 1 Million Cups was on there, if SBA was on there. I didn't quite see it. Somehow I landed in Pinellas, so I'm a little confused as to what I did. But is this my way in, or do you anticipate me coming in a different way?
Yeah, so there's many entry points. The reason you didn't see anything was because we don't have something in Orlando yet. So
Okay.
we've got Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Broward. You know, we're slowly making our way across Florida, and Florida is
Okay.
one of the last states we're going after. We kind of did country first, hometown second.
Okay.
So that's why you landed. So what it does is it geofences you into the closest market.
Got it.
That's why you ended up in Pinellas. If we get a client in Orlando, it will put you in Orlando the next time you log in. So
Got it.
it's
Okay.
trying to find the closest resources to you, and that's why it's doing that. But that's not the main entry point. The main entry point is actually for our clients. We tell them that their success lies in utility. Utility is a key word that we use for our clients. In that, we're not a platform. We're not a social media platform. We're not a Facebook. We don't tell them to, hey, join our app. We never talk about the app at all with our clients. With our clients, we say create programming, and we'll make that programming barrier free. So in every one of our client faces, they have landing pages
Mhm.
that have directly all of their programming on there, which is pulling from our backend systems without any login. So let's say you have a resource directory, and I can show you if you're interested, and if we have time, examples of resource directories for a lot of our cities, like in Detroit. You don't need to have a login to go to the Detroit website to be able to see over 100 resource providers you can pick for funding. You can pick by stage of your company. You can pick by specific area you're interested in, by your minority status, etc., without having the app. The app is only when our clients are actually providing, like for example, MSU in Broward County, they use our app for everything in their center, the conference room screens, the front doors, the Wi-Fi. So then the app is useful. Then they say download the app because all of the center programming is through the app. But in terms of getting access to resources, we want to make it as barrier free. So it's through landing pages, websites, QR codes, etc. You don't need to have the mobile app to interact with any of our clients. Any aid they provide will go directly from their website. That entrepreneur doesn't know that it's actually interacting with our backend system that uses iframes and all these other types of technologies to forward project content without having to download a mobile app. The mobile app is only if our client chooses to provide programming through the mobile app when you have broadband access issues in rural America, or you're trying to, host a physical space and you need access to front doors and conference rooms and bookings and stuff like that. So the app is curated for a very specific journey. Thousands of our small businesses interact directly with our client platforms without knowing that that platform is actually talking to our backend system, because that creates fewer barriers than telling somebody to download an app to have to work with us.
So the only barrier that I heard in all of that for me as an entrepreneur, or potentially as a mentor in the network that I'm attached to, is the barrier is honestly not mine, but is that my community economic development organization inside Orlando needs to be a customer of yours for me to get local value. I can go past local, but that barrier is, they got to step up to be a client of yours, so then I can actually take advantage of them curating the content that's here. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. That is the primary barrier, and that's our outreach, right? That's why we speak almost every week in a different 1 million cups, because we're doing this outreach constantly, trying to show value. And that's why Paul is actually in the audience. Paul came to talk to us. Paul is heading up the high-tech corridor. All right. And talking to people like Paul every single day. That's the outreach we do, is try and get at least in every community one client. And that's our goal, is if we can have, that's why our big, hairy, audacious goal is to be in every city, because then every community benefits. And it's really cool because if we do it across Florida, you could travel to any city in Florida, simply switch your location and instantly be plugged into the local ecosystem. If you come to Tampa, for example, every co-working space, every incubator, every SBDC office, everything is listed in the platform for Tampa, because we have a client in Tampa. So we are not incentivized to connect a city unless we are paid in that city. We're a for-profit organization. Even though we're mission-driven, if we don't get paid, we don't feel the value to actually map that city.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Michael, and then Sean and Paul, did you have a question?
It's already been asked.
Okay, great. Michael.
So I have a suggestion and a question. The suggestion is, if you haven't already, check out the International Business Innovation Association. That is a global association for all incubators and accelerators around the world, which would be a great channel partner.
Yeah, we're actually a sponsor of theirs.
So the question I have for you, here locally in Orange County, we have a platform called BizLink Orange, which is a resource directory which has a calendar of community events. So how does your platform differ from BizLink Orange?
Yeah, so that platform is actually through a company called SourceLink. and they are in a few of our markets as well. And so we get asked that question quite a bit. Our main differentiator is that we're actually a living, breathing community. So for us, we're not just a front end system. So if a client from there wants to actually provide programming, they can't provide programming through that platform. For us, you can actually then provide technical assistance right through our platform. So the differentiation between that website and us is that for us, it's building actually these living, breathing communities. And in every community, our primary client is the convener of that ecosystem. So that logo sheet that I showed you, every one of those logos is basically a convener in that local community. And so we work with the conveners because we're not just trying to create a static directory. What we're trying to do is to actually measure the impact we're having on small businesses and breaking down all the barriers to them accessing resources. So the difference between that website and if we hosted a platform would actually be the entrepreneur being able to log into their community, to be able to connect with other entrepreneurs, to be able to apply for aid or for technical assistance right through the platform. So it's very different than just going and saying, okay, what is available to me? Ours takes it like 2 or 3 steps further. What is available and can I actually access it now? And can I get the help I need now? Because there's somebody behind that front screen versus the platform that's there now. I don't know how it is being staffed. Like if there is a local staff member running it and is acting as a community navigator for people that are coming in. But in markets that we've been in, that's the main difference we've seen.
All right, Sean and then Josh, and then I'll do the, oh, wait.
I got something really important.
All right, so Sean.
I have a simple question. Since you started, how many businesses are successful startups? How many jobs they created?
Yeah, so because we don't do a national report, we have it at the local city level, and we don't measure by number of jobs because that's our clients. What we measure is how much money our clients are able to raise for the communities they're in. So, for example, in Denver, we don't measure how many jobs we created because that's their number. They have a dashboard on our platform that I could go look up right now how many jobs are created in Denver. But what we track is how much money they're able to raise for driving investments back into their community. So, for example, that story that I started with, later I found out the reason why they gave me the $1,200 was that they had gotten $45,000 from JP Morgan Chase from their CRA fund to connect women entrepreneurs. And 2 years after being with us, they got $145,000 from JP Morgan Chase to continue that programming. So we don't measure our success by number of jobs. That's our clients. That's their metric. We measure by how much investments they're able to bring back. 90% of our clients are either a 501c3, a nonprofit, some kind of EDC that's funded by state and local dollars plus taxpayer dollars. They need to be operating to be able to provide these services. Our job, if we are good at it, is going to make sure that they keep driving bigger investments back into their community, getting greater federal dollars, greater philanthropy dollars. That's how we measure success. And every one of our clients that has been with us has been able to double or triple their contract size with us, only because they've been able to get greater funding to their work. For example, NSU, when we started with them 3 years back, they were just launching their Alan Levine Center. Today, I think they've got millions. I just saw one for $1 million from Congresswoman Debbie, I think last year, presented to them. So we measure our success based on how we can drive investments back into the local community to help them create jobs. But every one of our clients are with us because we're ultimately serving their mission. But I can't give you like one national number or local number right off the top of my head. They have their client dashboards on our platform that tracks how much revenue their small businesses are generating, how many jobs they're creating, how many people are starting ventures every year, etc. So those metrics are available at a city, county, or state level for our clients.
We all know startup is a very treacherous journey. More than 90% paid. There's a reason for it. I have MBA, DBA, CBA, doesn't mean a thing. They're failing. That's what the minimum. Whatever you come up with, I think we should be shooting for that. They should be successfully making money.
I'm not able to hear that. Could somebody repeat that?
So basically he was saying that the biggest problem entrepreneurs face is just the journey, right? and that 90% fail. And so regardless of what our education or anything else is involved, it's irrelevant. So I guess he's asking, his question was, how do you help in that regard? And my response to that would be, that's his clients. Right, his clients are the EDCs and so forth, and they're the ones that are working directly with the entrepreneurs.
That's my problem. Nobody's doing it. I'm sorry. 90% paid. It's a miserable thing. So many suicides and so many people. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
90%.
So let me maybe the question is, how are we improving the rate of failure? How are we reducing the rate of failure? Is that the question?
That would be a suitable answer, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great point. And we've seen through pandemics, this failure rate has held steady if you look at the SBA statistics. So that's why we tell our clients, when you start a business, you don't have to prove a point, right? Like serendipity plays such a big role in starting a business, that what you want to do is you want to make sure that in the process of trying to get rich or get successful, you don't become poor. That when you start a business, you create milestones to know when you're not going to get traction or when you're not going to get market validation, that you don't end up saying, it's my pride and my ego and I'm going to make it work or not. Like when I started this business, I knew my failure rate, right? So what I did is I actually created milestones with my wife to say, if we don't track to these milestones, I'll go back to work for the company I was working for. It's not a reflection on my character. It's just the market conditions. The market didn't think this was a good idea. I'll always be able to come back and try another idea with the market. And I think teaching our entrepreneurs that if you're starting a business, there are a lot of variabilities that you can't control. And being able to fail safe, that if you're going to fail, you quit at a time where you're not losing your house or your car or putting so much debt that you're not able to recover from. I don't know if there is a way to change failure rate, right? You can be very smart about how you start businesses so that you minimize the impact, because ultimately starting a business is about wealth creation. If you're not creating wealth, there's no reason to be in business. And if you're going to create wealth, you definitely don't want to become poor in the process of creating wealth. And the timing might not be right. It might not be the right idea. You can keep coming at it. And there are a lot of great success stories of people failing multiple times and then getting there. And I think, that's what we got to celebrate, is this fail fast and fail forward, so that ultimately you can get right when you get it right.
All right, Josh, and then Denny, and then Ask Prasad online.
So kind of playing off a little bit of what John said, but I have a quick thought and a quick question. Thought is there's a concept called MSOE, minimum standard of excellence, that in my opinion is way underused when it comes to accomplishing anything worthwhile, especially in entrepreneurship. But I feel the way you're describing what you're doing is kind of like a minimum standard of entrepreneurship. Like you're that infrastructure, you're that minimum standard that you come in and you prop up everything else on top of that. So I just looked it up. It's not on Google. No one's used it. So use it for a marketing thing if you want.
Thank you. Yes.
The question is, who's the number one introduction you'd like to have? Specifically, by name, like anywhere in the world, who do you want to be introduced to next?
Yes. So if you could introduce me to the Orange County Economic Development Director, that would be it.
There we go, Rupert.
There you go.
Rupert has volunteered.
Perfect. Thank you. That's the one person I need to speak with.
All right.
I can introduce you to some good stuff.
Denny.
There was a chat thing about getting a hold of the National League of Cities. The most immediate past president of the National League of Cities is P.C. Wu from Pensacola. He's been my friend for 20 years. He was one of my classmates in district government. Not a month goes by, I don't have an online Zoom session with him. If you'd like an introduction,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we've worked with people in their organization, but an introduction to somebody like him would be amazing.
Does Eric have your contact information?
Yes.
All right, I'll get to you through that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Savvy Prasad.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much, David. What a wonderful product. And you got me so excited at the beginning of this presentation. The platform you said was able to help entrepreneurs find the resources that they need, but I find myself in the presentation now feeling all the way through that we've lost the essence from how it helps the entrepreneur to now how it helps the actual community resources centers who are your clients. So my question is, um, I placed it on a chat. Do you have any statistics on how this platform has helped made it easier for entrepreneurs to access the right resources for their needs? So right now, all I've been hearing is that it helps the community organizations that present or provide these resources to entrepreneurs, but I still haven't heard how has it helped the actual entrepreneurs themselves, and how have they been able to access those resources?
Yeah, thank you. I think this will kind of, bring it all together. And I think the best thing about being an entrepreneur that started this is that I can do a gut check on whether we've strayed far away from our mission, right? Like if I were a small business, would I be interacting with this platform? I can ask myself that every day. I'll tell you a very quick story, Sabi, which is true. So this happened in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They came to us and their store. I'm trying to think of what is the name of their grocery chain there. Uh, let's just say it's Publix. I can't remember the name right now. So they came to us and said, which one?
Myers.
Myers. Thank you so much. Yes, Myers. Thank you. So Myers came to us and said they have shelf space for about 100 SKUs that they would like to give to Hispanic businesses that want to start, but they didn't have access to Hispanic businesses that they could like source at a large scale. And they said, is there a way for us to be able to run a program? And if you are a small business trying to get into retail, a SKU space is the ultimate victory. It costs for any retail provider, it costs about $10,000 to get one SKU in the store. And there's a very short lifespan for that SKU if it doesn't perform. So to get a SKU in the store, in the shelf, is like a lottery ticket. So they came to us and said, is there any way you can help us? We want to give this space. We sourced, I think, so they had 10 slots they wanted to give. And they said, is there a way for us to source this? And I think we got about 180 applicants from the minority community, from the Hispanic community that came and pitched to Myers. And they selected 10 of them and gave them the shelf space. They came back to us and said, listen, we've tried this program several times and we'd get like 15 or 20 applicants. We just don't have the connection and the trusted network within the community to be able to roll a program like this. And we usually don't end up getting the right representation for these SKUs because we really want to elevate the Hispanic community in Grand Rapids. But when they came to us, they said, you've blown us out of the park. They asked us if we could take this model to every Meijer across the country and be able to do this as a way to source these diverse suppliers for the shelf. So from the 10, they'll pick one or two to become like their permanent diverse suppliers in their network. That access wouldn't happen if we weren't in Grand Rapids, providing a technology platform for the Grand Rapids Chamber, the city, etc. So in every market we go into, we can make meaningful difference in connecting the people that provide the resources to the people that want the resources, using technology to create that scale and understanding and having a deep empathy for the people in that market. So that's why I never talk about it as just technology. We're a solution because we bring the technology, but we also bring the empathy because I am a small business owner myself. I have to wake up and ask, if I started a business today, will this platform help me? And the day I say no, I probably have to shut down and go start another business, right? I started this to solve a problem that I had in my previous business. But you can't do this at scale and capacity with a technology platform and be fully bootstrapped. Now, I could go get an investor to invest in me, right? But then I would not be true to my mission. So to bootstrap it, I had to find somebody, a client that is willing to pay and can work alongside me in helping me solve this problem. And the client I found were economic developers because they're also highly motivated to help their community because they're interested in job creation. They're interested in driving economic development of their community. So I was able to find a perfect partner, and this partner looks very different in every market. In some cases, it's philanthropy. So we work with Kellogg, Bush, Knight, Gates, Kaufman. They fund a lot of our work. We also work with city and state governments that are funded to do this work. In some cases, we work with SBDC networks to do this work. Whoever in the community looks at their role as a convener that says, my work is beyond just providing a service. I want to help break down all of the barriers in my community we work with them. So Sabi, I think great point, right? I don't want to lose sight of why we started and how we are solving that primary problem of making it easy for people to start businesses. But we can't do it on our own. We got to bring all the other people that have the same mission together so that we can, collectively win. Hopefully that kind of brought it back to you on, how do we help small businesses directly?
Yes, it does bring it back a little bit, but it still doesn't answer the question. And I can see where it helps some entrepreneurs on a large scale. But I think what I was trying to understand is the initial presentation started with the perspective from the entrepreneur, but now I get the perspective from the community, like an SBC organization. But oftentimes in the city, when an entrepreneur comes and starts up a business, they still have to go and try to find those resources. And so even an SBDC, as you mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, is often elusive to someone who is just starting out if they are not familiar with the city landscape. So how still does the entrepreneur find places like SBDC or economic development center or things like that, instead of the city actually trying to get it to them? Because right now that's what they're doing. The city is trying to get it to them, and they're not marketing enough to get it out there for everyone to see. So the question is, how does the entrepreneur still go and find all of these organizations?
Can I ask if them searching on Google is a valid starting point for the entrepreneur? Do you think that's a valid starting point? The entrepreneur going on Google. Okay,
that's where most entrepreneurs would probably or most likely start, for sure.
That's what we did. So to bring that story full circle in our community. So I didn't know about the SBDC. Today, the SBDC is part of a platform called One Pinellas, and that's a platform that we launched for them, where all municipalities in Pinellas are in one place, with the idea that if an entrepreneur goes to Google and searches for anything tied to starting a business in Pinellas County, that they would have this one place where they could get all of their resources, which if I had it in 2008, I was, like Chris said, I'm truly a hustler. I would have found it if they had taken that one additional step of making it easy to find it.
All right. Unfortunately,
thank you.
We're out of time. I know we have a lot of questions.
That's 6 minutes.
It's been great. Yeah, we usually do 6-minute presentation, 20 minutes of questions. And I was wondering, what are we going to do to fill the rest of the time? Well, we came through. So, David, I usually ask the question, what else can we, the community, do for you? You did ask that. Is there some other third thing we as a community can do for you?
No, I just want to thank you so much for having me, and thanks for being flexible with me. I'd love to have been in person there today, but this McDonald's seems to have worked out fine for now. And yeah, if, any connections to economic development would be really helpful, because we would love to have a presence in Orlando, in our own backyard in Florida. Would love to have a connection there.
Yeah, okay. David, reach out to me and I'll hook you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Rupert.
All right. Let's see if we get back to this. So next week we're going to hear from Caden Kress of Vital Engine. But in the meantime, if you're on Zoom, download the chat. I know Jane was putting up some great resources. If anybody who is here wants the chat, let me know. Eric.deckers@gmail.com. It's ERIK. Connect with somebody that you met here today or met online. And then finally, join us on meetup.com. That's where we announce upcoming events and do most of our communication, although we also have the Facebook group. And Stoic Dan has an announcement.
Right, in a month's time, right in this room, September 21st, I'll be teaching business ethics. It's just a one-time class. The incubator has approved me to do this, and it's based on my 1 million presentation I gave a while back. So if you're interested in incorporating ethics into your business as a CEO, a manager, how can I bring ethics back into my business and treat people well? This will be a one-time class, and I've got flyers today, so just raise your hand and I'll turn it around.
So you might not want to be ethical.
It's
Let you know now that you don't want to be ethical.
It'll be here
on September 21st, right after this meeting at 11 a.m. All right. Yep. All right, well, thank you for coming, and we will see you all in 167 hours.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.